Hey guys, welcome to the Heart of David. Welcome to my channel. Hope you guys are doing well today. I'd like to talk about some deep things today, and I'll tell you exactly what those are. There are a number of topics. The first one is the evil that we see in our day today. Evil, good, good, evil. At the very end, I'm going to talk about, and I'll try not to make this any longer than like 20-25 minutes. I want to talk about a scary time in my life, of how my pain came to be, of how I had probably one of the worst medication reactions that you can have, and what it did to me, and where it led. It actually led right here, but I'll talk about that near the end. Man, sometimes I should probably talk before my video, to see how I talk, but when you actually get on the camera, it kind of is different, like 2 Thessalonians, I don't know if it's 3 or 2. I wonder if I got a revelation that I haven't heard this in the Christian YouTube world. No. I'd like to share that with you, and that's about, and that came to me yesterday. The Lord told me, no, I'm just kidding, the Lord didn't tell me anything, maybe through the Spirit. The rapture can't happen until the rebellion, until the men of lawlessness is revealed. And in case I forget, the reason that came up in my mind, a brother who does very good videos is the Alpha Omega channel, AOC. You probably know which channel I'm talking about. He goes in depth, and he's quite artistic with this channel. It's pretty good. And he's just, is this, talking about the feast, is this really the rapture? And there were some, mathematical calculations of Daniel, and what is it, the 25:20? I don't know how to do the calculations, but I kind of remember them, and it does fit if you use it in a certain dynamic. Put that in the comments if you already know. You probably know what I'm talking about. I don't look to any date as being the rapture, and I will never do that. But I won't put it down either. Hey, if you want to base your life off of one day, I just don't do that to give myself an upset, right? Because we certainly know stories of a lot of upsets. And what else is I going to talk about? Well, I'll just get to that. So why the topic of evil, good, good, evil? Well, we see that in Isaiah, right? And what are those who call good evil and evil good, who put, bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter? Do you think that verse ever, in Isaiah's time, and Isaiah was saying a lot of different things. Isaiah was in the third heaven. He saw Jesus Christ. He saw the Lord. Who knows how many things he saw? Look at the things that, man, his prophecies, he knew a lot. It makes you wonder how much they really knew. Certainly, Aholah and Aholibah, if you know what I'm talking about, Israel and Jerusalem, they were both, they were always led to evil. And so whether or not Isaiah is talking about that time, and so much stuff in the Bible people apply to today that really doesn't apply to today, it just was what they were writing at that time. But that's a good question of whether that is today, because there is no time in history that is worse than today. Now, there are certainly times when there was a lot of evil going on, and there was a lot of evil stuff being called good. Certainly there was, but not worldwide, right? Not worldwide. And one of the reasons is because I think it's population growth, and I think it's access to the internet and the evils that can be drawn upon. When I was in my teens, I was doing criminal activity, okay? I was lost. I didn't do well in school, so I was looking for rushes outside. If it were today, man, I'm just glad I was born when I was, and not a teenager now, because there would have been so many opportunities to do bad things. Just let me take a bite. It's my stomach, guys. Yeah. So I just want to give you two instances that make me want to bring up this part in the video. So of the last, I'm pretty sure it's within the last 2 weeks, there have been 2 home invasions. I believe one's in the States and one's in Canada. And the one in Canada, it was a home invasion. And I guess it was in the dark at night or something like that. Don't take me for this, but my story is still correct. What are you supposed to do? This is a big dissension that's going on in Canada right now. And even Rob Ford, Mayor Rob Ford, he's saying, we got to change these laws. They got to change them very quickly. So the person stabbed a person with a knife. You don't know how big that person is going to be, right? You don't know how strong that person is, whether they have a gun or knife themselves. You're just going to let someone kill you? What are you supposed to say? Yeah. Evil, good, get evil. It was, because of the migrants that are coming in and the massive amount that Trudeau let in, unvetted, right? So people who are not going to participate in our society, we used to vet them, and that's why our country is going down. There's a lot of Indians. Sorry, I'm just pointing out the truth. It is the truth. A lot of Indian, a lot of people from India. And why do I say that? Because on the other end, the people who tend to want to get in first are the criminals. It's true. And so they've let a lot in. And I'm not saying it's just them. But around here it is, in Toronto, to the point where so many cars were being, you can look at the videos, a lot of them are Indian. It was getting so bad, and I guess people hurt, that they started saying to leave your car fob in your front foyer so they can see it, so you don't get hurt. Can you imagine that? So this person is being charged. Can you imagine, you're going to jail because you stabbed someone because you defended yourself in your own home? So there's that one. As a Christian, what I would do, I might do the same. If it was in the dark or something like that, I don't want to die, but I don't want to sustain more injury than I already have to my body. I don't know. I would defend myself. After it happened to me last summer, defending myself in that tunnel, I'm like, I'm just going to do something if he tries to hit me, punch me, because I have I have 12 vein-sores, man, and one of them is my spine, and I have to protect it. And I remember also thinking, I'm a Christian, what do I do? I haven't been in this situation, and in my life I had been in fights, and I'm not afraid of them, but I didn't know because I had to protect my body, and it made me realize that you should protect yourself at all times, whatever necessary pressure you have to do. Don't get caught in that trap, but it also says in the Bible we are killed all day long. So, I don't know. It's a very wide discussion. You know, if I saw a woman being stabbed or raped in an alley, yes, I would go and I would help that woman. So does that say anything? And then the other one, I think this took place just in the last few days. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it still happened. This one was in the States, I think. I'm pretty sure. North America. Yeah, it's in the States. A man comes in to a home to steal, and he's claiming it's not. He's so in both cases are being sued. This man he came in to kidnap a little girl. This is David and Goliath. Her brother, who was like 9 years old, 10 years old, maybe a tiny bit older, had a slingshot. He took a marble and hit the guy. The guy thought he was shot, and I believe he dropped because it hit him in the chest. That might be an automatic reaction, right? He dropped the girl, sorry. He turned to run, and he got hit again, but in the eye. Go look it up. And now I believe they say it's going to remove his eye, or he lost function in his eye. And he's suing the mother for saving his sister for $800,000. This is the topic of discussion. Good, evil, evil, good. We're living here now. Put that alongside the ideological movements that we've seen in the last years and all those things. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And I think the last administration, so I believe Donald Trump is the biblical Antichrist. So if you follow me here, we see a lot of, I believe the last administration, were they really bumbling fools, right? Were they so stupid that they couldn't respond to things and do this and let balloons fly over? Of course not. It was a setup to make it look so stupid so the Antichrist could come in, grab power, and do all the things he's doing now. I don't care what you think. I have other video. I'll connect the video if you don't believe me. If you want all the objective signs, I will attach 1 or 2 videos showing so. But follow my reasoning anyways. Pardon me, I have to eat as I go along here. We're living in a time when literally in the United States, all over the place, these groups of kids, like the 300 kids on a street, come out of nowhere, take over the whole block, you know, ransacking stores, and oh yeah, if you steal under this amount, under 1,000, they won't even keep you in jail. What kind of message does that send? These are, you know, democratic things, and Donald Trump is the hero, and he's going to stop all these things, go into all these cities and stuff. Yeah, you know, evil, good, good, evil. And man, this is far from the only country that this type of stuff is happening. Look at all the migration and migrants in Spain and France and Canada and Portugal and Germany and every Western country, where they won't even, you know, there's grooming gangs and they're rape gangs. And, you know, where 85% are done by migrants of the most violent and rape and sexual assault. And they will not put those stats up. So why don't people stand up? You know, the common thing is always this. Why don't people stand up? You know, 50 years ago, this people and that people would have stood up and never put up with this. True. But they also created this generation to where we are. I believe it was the baby boomers who were responsible for all our technology and all these things today, and advertisements on TV and stuff like that. People never think about that. But it's true, they would have stood up. So does that make people today less than? A lot less testosterone? No, it does not. Because they were grown up with certain something. with technology, with all these things, and that's what it is. It's just conditioning. Where's the breaking point? Food. You know exactly what I'm talking about. When prices go up, and well, you'll see, eventually something like that will happen, and does in not in every generation, but now I'm going to move on to, let's go to that, 333. Let's go to, it's just unfortunate, eh? Like, it's crazy to see, too. Just give me a second to take some water here. I would make this longer, but I have a guy coming at 2, and it's 1:41. So got a guy coming to my place. So for those who, the rapture cannot take place until the lawless man is revealed. Let's just read this. 2 Thessalonians 2. Now, brothers, concerning the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and our gathering to him, we ask you not to be soon shaken in mind or troubled, either by spirit or word by letter, as if from us. So there were people saying that to the, false people, telling them that it had already come, as though the day of Christ had come. Let no one deceive you by any means, for that day will not come unless the falling away happens first. People are wondering, what is it? It's an apostasy. I think that's what it means in the Greek, right? Falling away comes first, and the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he sits as God in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. We'll see about that part. So, if you fall in line with me, one of the reasons you might be following me is because you understand that he is the Antichrist, Donald Trump. So that means the falling away has to have happened, right? He's in everything, and he's doing everything that the Bible told us he would. Look, he's going after Venezuela and Mexico now. He would go south, right? Whether that's a fulfillment. It will not come unless the falling away, the rebellion, the apostasy. Has that occurred? I don't know if this was a revelation from God to me through the Spirit, because I hadn't heard this said yet. For those who believe that Donald Trump is the Antichrist. When you look in Christianity, Christian YouTube, which accounts for, I don't know how much, a lot of Christianity, because there's so many people making videos. Pastors who pretend to be pastors, LGBTQ, all of those, false, apostasy, concert-like conferences that are false and it's evident, it's disgusting. You can see it, it's gross. Speaking in tongues like this, like those types of things, gathering people around that. I find it very strange. Yes, it's happening, and it's been happening for some time, probably beginning in the 70s with people like Kenneth Copeland. And then when the internet came, it fulfilled. It just had to start happening. It's bad. The Lord said. Man, they're leading away some millions and millions of people that could be saved. I believe this could be a fulfillment together. The day will not come unless the falling away happens first and the man of sin is revealed. I believe the man of sin has been revealed. So when you look and you see the people who are surrounding him, praying for him, so you look in a room, a guy's bowing to him, bowing to Trump. He's got all, what is her name, Paula White? He's got all the false people surrounding him, the wrong ones. I wonder, take another look. Could that be a fulfillment? Very strange. It could be that easy, because the people surrounding the Antichrist are the people who represent the false rebellion falling away. Go look at the people who are surrounding him. Go research who they are. That's all I wanted to say about that. I don't know. I have 15 minutes. When my phone rings, that is it. If it even does, because you know what? I'll keep that quiet, actually. I'll keep that part quiet. I'm going to tell you about how my pain began. I don't like making my channel about these types of things, but maybe you've never heard this before. I stopped talking about this type of stuff for good reason, because it was starting to make me feel down. It's not all I want to talk about. This is a very scary time in my life. You can research what this is. I wasn't doing well in my life. I was 22, 23, 24 years old. I lived a life of addiction, and man, I was having a real hard time going through withdrawals with benzodiazepines. It was a very tough life. And I was looking for an antidepressant, but not like the SSRI, SNRI type of medications, which, all the evidence that I ever read, and I read all the best evidence. What is the best efficacy for the SSRI, SNRI drugs? When I remember taking the very first one, Prozac. I was 13 years old. Right when the first one came out. And now there's like 30 different types of them. For every little problem a person has, right? It said the efficacy of those were never ever above 20%. And those tests were done by the drug companies. I'll just stop there. So I researched another drug that had a 90% plus, but there were diet restrictions on it, and there was a chance of hypertensive crisis if you ate the wrong foods. Your blood pressure would go up, you could have a heart attack, your brain could hemorrhage. And but I took the chance, and it was called phenelzine. I took it, I followed it religiously. Don't eat cheese, don't eat this kind of chocolate, or don't go over this amount of chocolate. I followed it, and I developed something called the serotonin syndrome, and it was a black box warning. But it was, when I got the sheet, you don't focus on that, right? It didn't really. A very serious, like, make your whole nervous system, parasympathetic nervous system, autonomic nervous system, like completely out of whack. I took the first two, like you start at 45 milligrams, and I was okay. But when I went up to the next dose, to whatever it was, 1545, I guess 65, I started to develop euphoria, right? I started to feel euphoric, and I thought, man, it's working, because, I'm doing this for anxiety and depression, and this felt new. I remember telling my mom, I'm like, Mom, I think this is working. She's like, oh, this is great, and I started to go in and out of periods of like confusion and agitation and irritability. And one day my blood pressure, because you're supposed to buy a blood pressure thing with it, it went up so high that my mom said, lie on the couch, and because it was very high, like my diastolic was at like 160. My blood pressure was well over 200. My systolic, And I was scared, man. I laid down on the couch, and anyways, I was rushed to the hospital, and man, I was praying on the way. And I developed a massive migraine. It was so bad that I was literally yelling in pain. Not moaning, yelling in pain. It was that bad. It was like a knife in my head. And they put me out. I came home. I was on other medications at the time, and so it wasn't evident what this was. I know how stupid that may sound, but it was the psychologist, I guess psychiatrist at the time, who didn't know either. He was trying to give me compounding medications to stop different things, and he left me on that medication and left me just like that. One day I went to his place. So this was going up and down. It wasn't on one plane, that things that were happening to me. I remember I got to drive by my mom because it was like 40 kilometers away from my home, and it was in his home. And I'd phone and I'd say, you know, I'm having all these problems. And when I went there, he met me at the door. I didn't do anything to him. And he said, sorry, I can't take you on anymore. Just like that. Just imagine that. I was doing what I should. And anyways, I just remember I went home and I had to find someone else to take that over, which they did. Very uncommon medication, developed in the 1950s. Very effective, and they should really work off of that, but go around this blood pressure thing. My mental state was changing by the hour, sometimes by the minute. It was going up and down, so much so that it would go into euphoria, and I'd be gone out of my house. I'd go 2 hours away from my home and end up in places, and that did happen because I didn't know what I was doing. It was making me manic, and I believe it was raised one more. I developed 2 hypertensive crises. My blood pressure was changing. I was going into sweats all the time. I remember someone saying on my video, the serotonin syndrome can't last 13 months, but after research, yes, it can. It can be hidden, and many people will end up taking their lives, and because it causes such internal nervous system instability. And I was developing like super rigidity, and I started to develop a movement disorder. So I had every symptom of that, and they were wondering, was this the neuroleptic malignant syndrome? But I wasn't on a neuroleptic. Which one was it, right? I'm running out of time here, guys. I'll just try to shorten it. I'm not on like these types of antidepressants anymore. Like they just, man, I just wasn't well in life, right? I've been through a lot of addiction, and that changes a person. I remember I was given a medication, an anti-Parkinsonian medication, because I was going through movement disorders. They were wondering if I had Huntington's disease. I'm not even kidding you. Huntington's disease. Myoclonic movements. When I'd lie down in my bed to go to sleep at night, boom, they would come on, and I would have 200 very violent movements. My parents caught it on tape. I was given an anti-Parkinsonian drug. And so I took it, and I started to feel a little bit better. But then I woke up one morning, maybe the second day after I took it, I wake up to I'm like, is my dad working, is he working on the roof? Is he, because my dad did that kind of stuff a lot. It was a nice sunny day, I remember, and I woke up feeling well. likely because it was a dopamine drug. And I thought it was very strange, and I got up and I walked out into the hallway, and it seemed as though it was following me. Okay? It seemed as though it was following me. And it was following me. And I'm like, wow, man, I'm having a hallucination, and it just followed me. I forget how long it was. It may have been a number of hours, but then we knew it was that one because we just started that one. So anyways, I went through a lot of instability. I had so many seizures, not seizures, sorry, but convulsions. It looked like seizures. My neck was turning violently in bed. My parents didn't know what to do. It was so bad that I would go into a deep sleep, and then at like 4 o'clock in the morning, I remember I woke up with a myoclonic convulsion out of my sleep, fell off my bed, my knee hit an oak desk that I had in my room with brass handles, boom, took the brass handle right off. That's how powerful these were. And it happened so many times with my neck going back and forth. It was so painful, and it was very scary to me that I developed pain. It began in the cervical neck, and then it spread, went over to my face. And my face, it was like every bone in my face was being crushed. I was just holding my face for weeks. And eventually I realized, so the neurologist didn't even know it was phenelzine, even though it was a black box warning, and that is their job to recognize that type of thing. I felt really angry later, but what can I do? They should have known it was that. I was in such a state of confusion that when my pain began, and it spread then over my whole body, I said, I gotta let this go. I was worried. My main worry about it was, and I'm telling you the truth, they thought I was going to get worse if I took it away. That reinforced my idea that it was going to get worse if I took it away. But I thought I had nothing to lose, because now I was in like level 9 pain every single second of the day. And that's when I started to be put on opiates. There it is, almost 33 minutes now, and I'm going to stop because I should be having someone coming here. Guys, that's the story of how this began. I guess you would call it like a medium level serotonin syndrome, because the serotonin syndrome often leads to death. And I'm just hypersensitive to it, and it's not the first time I had it. It's not the first time I had it, and it can be very hard to identify. God bless, guys.